The alien marketplace buzzed with noise, vendors shouting, machines humming, lights flashing. But Kayla felt invisible. She walked slowly, holding her sick child close to her chest. Her skin was pale violet, her eyes sunken with worry. No one looked at her. No one offered help. She had asked for work at every shop, every repair bay, every stall. But every alien shook their head or looked away. Single mothers are a burden, one shopkeeper had told her last week. Especially ones with weak children. Her son Liran coughed again, his small body trembling in her arms. She pulled her cloak tighter around him. He needed medicine. But without work, she couldn't even afford water. Kayla had once been a skilled worker in the tech sector. But when her mate died during a mining accident, she was left alone. The company replaced her within a week. No help, no pension, just silence. Now she had nothing left except her pride. And that was fading fast. She reached the last repair bay at the corner of the district. A rusty sign hung above the doorway. Carter Systems, repairs, parts, upgrades. Inside, she saw a tall figure bent over a glowing human engine core. His skin was light and smooth, his dark brown hair tied back. A human. Alone. Humans were rare on this side of the galaxy. Most lived in protected sectors. But this one, he seemed comfortable among aliens. Or maybe just too stubborn to leave. Kayla hesitated, then stepped forward. "Excuse me, I'm looking for work." The human looked up. His eyes were a warm shade of green, not cold or judging. He wiped his hands on a cloth and smiled softly. "Work?" he said, his voice calm. "What can you do?" "I can handle tools. I know some basic machine code. I'm fast. Her voice cracked. "I just need a chance." The human studied her. Then he looked at the child in her arms. Liran whimpered quietly, his forehead glowing slightly with fever. "You have a sick child," he said. Kayla braced for rejection, but the human surprised her. "All right," he said, "I'll pay you for today. Clean the workshop. Organize those parts by type. If you do well, come again tomorrow." She stared at him, speechless. You'll hire me?" "Why not?" He shrugged. "Everyone needs a start, and I could use the help." Kayla's throat tightened. "Thank you," she whispered. "Thank you, sir." He raised a hand. "No, sir. Just James." She nodded. "I'm Kayla." By noon, Kayla had cleaned the whole front bay, sorted 20 bins of wires, and repaired a damaged tool case without being asked. James noticed her work, nodded with approval, but didn't say much. He wasn't a man of many words. He made her tea, something bitter but warm. He also gave her a nutrient pack for Liran, who was now resting on a small cot in the back room. "Why are you helping me?" she asked. James looked at her with a tired smile. "I've been where you are," he said. "Not a mother, obviously, but I've been left behind, forgotten." She wanted to ask more but didn't push. Everyone had their scars. Before she left, James gave her a small pouch of credits. "Enough for medicine," he said. "See you tomorrow." Kayla's hands trembled. This was more than a job. It was hope. That night, Kayla walked back to her small rented room with her child safe in her arms and medicine in her bag. She didn't care about the cold or the noise of the city anymore. Someone had believed in her. But as she reached her door, a shadow moved across the hallway. She turned quickly. No one there. Her heart beat faster. She entered, locked the door tight, and checked the windows. Then she looked at her son and smiled. Whoever that human was, he had just changed her life. She didn't know it yet, but this was only the beginning. Kayla returned the next day just after sunrise. The city was still waking up. Cleaning drones buzzed across the walkways and shop shutters clicked open one by one. But Carter Systems was already lit from the inside. Kayla stepped in, expecting silence. Instead, she found James kneeling beside a strange, glowing device. It pulsed with deep red light, surrounded by parts she had never seen before. Before she could ask, he looked up. "You're early," he said, then smiled. "Good," Kayla smiled back. "You didn't say I had the job." James stood up, brushing metal dust from his hands. "I didn't have to. You earned it." He pointed to a box. "Your tools. From today, you're not just cleaning. You'll assist me." Her heart jumped. "Assist you?" He nodded. "I need help with diagnostics, wiring, and inventory control. It's real work, not a favor." Kayla had no words, just a deep breath of relief. She stepped forward, ready to begin. But she noticed something strange. The back wall of the shop was now covered with a tarp, and behind it she heard the low hum of a hidden machine. Something powerful, something old. "James," she asked carefully, "what is that noise?" He looked over his shoulder. For a moment, his smile faded. "Just a project," he said. "Something from before." Before? Kayla didn't push. Not yet. As the day passed, Kayla showed her true skill. She repaired a busted interface module in half the usual time. She recognized 3 types of foreign wiring systems James had never used before. Her hands moved fast and her eyes missed nothing. James watched quietly, impressed. "You used to work tech?" he asked. "I was a systems assistant. 5 years, before they laid me off." "They lost someone valuable," he said. Kayla paused. "No, I just stopped being useful to them." James said nothing, but his face hardened. Later, while organizing spare energy cells, Kayla overheard a voice near the front of the shop. She peeked through the shelves. An alien in dark robes was speaking to James. Low voice, sharp tone. Kayla couldn't hear every word, but one sentence chilled her. "You're supposed to stay hidden, James. The council is watching." James didn't flinch. "Let them watch." The alien leaned closer. "Hiring locals? That's a mistake. You don't belong here, neither does she." Kayla froze. Were they talking about her? The alien walked out. James didn't notice Kayla had heard everything. Or maybe he did, but said nothing. That evening, as they locked up, James turned to Kayla. "I know today was intense," he said, "but you did great." She nodded. "Thank you, but may I ask something?" "Of course. That visitor, he knew you. He said something about the council." James's jaw tightened. For a moment he looked like a soldier, like someone trained to face enemies. "I used to work for people who believed in control," he said quietly. "When I didn't follow orders, they erased me, just like they erased you." Kayla's eyes widened. "Why stay here then?" she asked. "Because I still believe in giving people chances," he replied, "even if no one gave me one." She looked at him differently now. This human wasn't just kind. He was dangerous to the system and proud of it. As Kayla left for home that night, something felt different. People in the street whispered as she passed. A few aliens looked at her with surprise, maybe even with respect. She had a job now, with a human, and that meant something. But when she reached her building, she found a tiny black drone floating near her door. It scanned her face, then buzzed away into the night. Her hands shook. Someone was watching her now. Not just James. Her. And deep inside, she felt fear, but also something stronger. Courage. Whatever was coming, she would face it. For her son, for her future, and maybe, just maybe, for James. 3 days had passed since Kayla started working for James. The shop now felt familiar, like a safe corner in a world that had long been cold. James was quiet but fair, and Kayla had begun to laugh again. Liren's health was slowly improving with proper food and rest. But peace never lasted long in the outer colonies. Not for people like her. Not for people connected to a human with secrets. That morning, Kayla was checking an engine coil when a tall alien woman entered the shop. She wore a silver robe, elegant, expensive. Her eyes glowed with soft blue light. Her name was Mynira, a known trader and information broker. James wasn't around, so Kayla stepped forward. "Welcome. May I help you?" Rhaenyra studied her with an unreadable expression. "You're the single mother working for him?" Kayla straightened. "Yes. Is that a problem?" The woman smiled, but it wasn't friendly. "You don't know who you're working for, do you?" Kayla hesitated. "He's kind. He gave me a chance when no one else did." Rhaenyra leaned closer, lowering her voice. "You should be careful. Humans like him don't come here by accident. The last one, who did? He vanished, left behind fire and silence." Kayla's heart skipped a beat. "He's not like that." The woman nodded slowly. "Maybe, or maybe. He's hiding something far worse than you imagine." She turned and left, leaving a strange perfume in the air and a cloud of doubt in Kayla's mind. Later that night, after James returned, Kayla tried to focus on work, but her hands shook slightly. She kept replaying Rhaenyra's words. James noticed. "You okay?" he asked. Kayla nodded too quickly. "Yes, just tired." James frowned but didn't press. Still, something about him had changed. He was moving the tarp again, covering whatever secret project he had in the back. He double-checked the locks. His eyes were sharp, constantly scanning, watching, as if he knew someone was watching him too. The next day, as Kayla took a break outside, a familiar face approached her. It was Resk, a small-time supplier she had met years ago. He used to be friendly. Today, he looked nervous. He pulled her aside. "Kayla, I don't have long." She raised an eyebrow. "What is it?" "I don't know what you're doing with that human," he said quickly, "but someone's watching you, not local law, council operatives." Kayla's mouth went dry. "Why?" Resk shook his head. "I overheard things. They don't like humans in power, and they really don't like humans who help people like you." She swallowed hard. "People like me?" "Outcasts, survivors. The system wasn't built for us, Kayla. But that human, he's breaking rules." She looked down. "He gave me work. I know. That's what makes it dangerous." That evening, Kayla waited until James was alone. She walked up to him while he was calibrating a plasma driver. "I need to know," she said. He didn't look up. "Know what?" "Why they're watching you. Why people keep warning me about you. Who you really are." James set the tool down and finally looked her in the eyes. "I was part of something," he said slowly. "A human task force meant to observe and influence alien colonies. I thought we were helping. But you weren't?" He shook his head. "We were exploiting, taking tech, rewriting rules. When I said no to a command, they erased my identity, sent me here, a place no one cares about." Kayla stepped back. "So, are you still working for them?" "No," he said, voice hard. "Now I fix things. Machines, people, whatever I can. But they don't forgive betrayal." She felt both fear and pity. "And me? Am I just a tool to you?" "No," James said quietly. "You're the only real person I've met in years." Suddenly the lights flickered, then boom! A small explosion echoed from the alley outside the shop. James rushed to the door and peered out. Smoke. Sparks. A surveillance drone lay shattered on the ground, clearly human-made. Someone had sent it. Someone had lost control of it. And someone was getting desperate. Kayla looked at James. "They're not going to stop, are they?" "No," he said. "But neither will I." He reached behind the counter and unlocked a hidden panel. Inside was something Kayla didn't expect. An old human exosuit. Lightweight, camouflaged and banned. "Time to be ready," he said. "For what?" she asked. James looked at her seriously. "For war, if it comes to that." Kayla stood frozen, staring at the human exosuit hidden beneath James's repair counter. It wasn't just illegal tech. It was a symbol of war, of betrayal, of power. She had only seen such suits in off-world broadcasts. Humans rarely used them anymore. And if one showed up in a place like this, it meant something terrible was coming. James closed the panel calmly, as if hiding a wrench. Kayla's voice was low. "You were a soldier." He nodded. "Not just a soldier. I was part of a special unit, Black Echo. We were sent into colonies to observe, assist, and control when needed." Kayla backed away slightly. "So the stories are true?" James sighed. "Some of them." He sat on a crate, his face lost in thought. "They sent us to a planet once, small colony full of farmers and engineers. The council said there was alien tech buried deep beneath the soil. Forbidden tech. We were told to take it. Quietly." He looked up at Kayla, but one of the alien scientists refused. She said the tech wasn't a weapon. It was medicine. Oh, cure for a rare disease. Her people needed it. Kayla frowned. "What did your team do?" James's eyes darkened. "They called her a threat. They ordered me to eliminate her. I refused. They tried to do it themselves, so I stopped them." "How?" "I activated an energy shield and locked them in the outpost. By the time help arrived, she had escaped. So had I." Kayla could barely speak. "You disobeyed human command for an alien?" He nodded. "Not just any alien. She reminded me of you, brave, alone, unheard." The room fell silent. Kayla stepped closer. "Why are you telling me this?" "Because now you're in danger," he said quietly. "And you deserve to know who's putting you at risk." Kayla felt torn inside. Everything she believed about humans, about this human, was shifting. But more than fear, something else was growing. Trust. The next morning, Kayla noticed the streets outside felt different. Quieter, fewer vendors, more guards, strange faces. Black-eyed aliens wearing plain clothes but standing too still, watching too closely. Liren was sleeping peacefully in the back room, but Kayla couldn't shake the tension in the air. That's when she made a choice. She returned to James and looked him in the eyes. "If they come, what will you do?" James didn't blink. "Whatever I must, but I won't let them take you. Or your son." Kayla nodded. "Then teach me." He raised an eyebrow. "Teach you?" "Yes," she said firmly. "How to fight. How to protect my child. How to stop running." James didn't answer immediately, but something in her voice reminded him of that scientist long ago, the one who stood against a whole system. He finally nodded. "All right, we start tonight." And so they did. By day, Kayla worked in the shop as usual, repairing parts, serving customers, organizing inventory. By night, she trained in the back room. Basic combat moves, how to use a plasma cutter like a weapon, how to identify enemy tech, how to spot a hidden drone. She wasn't fast, but she was determined. James saw something in her most aliens didn't. Fire. She was no longer just surviving. She was preparing. One night, during training, Kayla asked a quiet question. "If they come for you, James, will you kill them?" James hesitated. "If they try to hurt you or Liren?" "Yes." Kayla looked down. She didn't want war, but she didn't want to be a victim again either. The next morning, Kayla received a message. No sender. No seal, just one line. "You've chosen the wrong side. Leave the human or your child will pay." Her blood ran cold. She showed it to James. He read it slowly, then placed the message into a data shredder. "It's begun," he muttered. Kayla grabbed his arm. "What do we do now?" James opened the tarp in the back of the shop, and this time Kayla saw everything. It wasn't just one secret project. It was three. A cloaking generator prototype, a signal jammer rig, a stealth skiff, small, fast, and completely unregistered. "We get ready," he said, "and we hit first." Kayla stared at the skiff, her fear turning into something sharper. Purpose. She had lost everything once. This time she would fight to keep what mattered. Kayla woke up to silence. That alone was strange. On a normal day, the city outside buzzed with sound by this hour. But today, it felt like the whole district was holding its breath. She checked the time. Too early. She turned to Liren's cot. Empty. Her chest tightened. Liren? She called, moving quickly around the tiny room. Liren. No answer. The door was still locked, no signs of struggle. But something was missing. Something wrong. Then she saw it. A blinking red light on the wall. Just above the vent. A surveillance. Drone beacon. Her son had been taken. And someone wanted her to know it. She stormed into Carter Systems, her breath ragged, her hands trembling. James was already awake, scanning local comms. They took him, Kayla said. I know it. James didn't waste time with doubt. I just intercepted a signal. Council Enforcement Unit. Unauthorized sweep last night. Code 14. Kayla didn't understand. What does that mean? He looked her in the eye. It means, they took your son under emergency jurisdiction. No trial, no questions, they want to make you quiet. Kayla's fists clenched. Why target a child? James's voice hardened. Because they know they can't break you. 10 minutes later, they were underground. James led her through an old tunnel system, remnants of the first human explorers. At the end of the path stood a steel door with faded writing. Outpost Delta, decommissioned. He punched in a code. The door slid open. Inside was a command center, old but functional. Screens lit up. A 3D map of the city appeared, showing red markers, patrols, checkpoints, and one blinking dot near a high-security building. Liren's there, James said. Sector 9 biocontrol. Kayla's heart twisted. Is he alive? James zoomed in. Yes, vital signs match, but not for long. They're probably testing him for human contamination. Kayla's voice shook. Like he's diseased, James handed her a handheld jammer. We don't have time for a quiet approach. She stared at the weapon, then met his eyes. We go in. Together. The raid began at dusk. Kayla and James used the stealth skiff to slip past 3 patrol drones and landed on the rooftop of the facility. Rain fell quietly, the sky dark above them. James hacked the door while Kayla covered him, heart pounding. Once inside, they moved like shadows, Kayla using every move James had taught her. Stun grenades, energy darts, no killing, yet. They reached the lab's inner corridor, and there, behind a glass wall, was Liren. He was strapped to a scanner chair. Wires poked into his arms. A cold-looking alien scientist tapped at a console. Kayla didn't think. She fired the jammer. The console sparked and died. The door hissed open. She ran to her son, unstrapping him, cradling his warm, tired body. His eyes fluttered open. Mama. Tears filled hers. I'm here, my light. I'm here. But behind her, alarms blared. James covered their escape like a ghost. He moved fast, using his old training. But Kayla noticed something. He was limping. His left arm bled. He'd taken a hit during their entry. She supported him as they ran. We're almost out, he said. One more level, then rooftop. But as they reached the final door, 4 armed guards blocked their path. Kayla looked at James. I'll distract them, he said. You take Liren and go. No, she whispered. We go together. But James stepped forward, and then, boom, a blinding light exploded from above. When Kayla opened her eyes, she saw something incredible. Dozens of angry locals, aliens from the district, had arrived. Some carried tools. Others carried hacked weapons. All had one goal. Get Kayla and her. Sun Out Manira stood in front, her silver robe replaced by armor. You inspired them, she told Kayla. They saw what they'd become, and what they could be. The guards fled. No one wanted to fight a whole crowd. Kayla and James escaped in the skiff, surrounded by dozens of ships flying beside them, protecting them. That night, back in the shop, Kayla sat beside Liren, who slept peacefully. James sat across from her, arm bandaged, quiet as always. Kayla looked at him. You risked everything. Why? James answered without hesitation. Because this time, I had something worth protecting. The world had changed overnight. The raid wasn't a secret anymore. The footage had spread, first through hidden networks, then across the entire colony grid. A single mother and a human outsider had stormed a council facility, and won. For the first time, the aliens who were silent started speaking. Some called Kayla a criminal, others called her a hero, but no one ignored her anymore. James watched the news feeds in silence. Dozens of messages flooded in, some offering help, others issuing threats. Kayla stood beside him, arms crossed, eyes focused on the screen. They'll retaliate, she said. James nodded. They have to. If they don't, others might start believing in us. Kayla looked down at Liran, asleep on a workbench. His face was calm, but she knew the danger wasn't over. She turned to James. Then let's hit them first. That evening, Carter Systems shut its doors. Not because they were giving up, but because they were preparing for war. James handed Kayla a datapad. Encrypted networks. You'll use it to contact sympathizers. We'll need more than us too. Kayla worked all night. She reached out to old contacts, other outcasts, former workers, single parents, injured veterans, people the system had forgotten. And to her surprise, many replied with the same message. We're ready. 3 days later, the council finally made a move. A massive transport ship hovered above the district. Troops in black armor dropped down one after another, surrounding the streets. A voice echoed from speakers. Return the human. Surrender the criminal, or we purge the sector. Kayla didn't blink. She turned to James. Is the broadcast rig ready? He nodded. Then let's speak to everyone. They powered up the rooftop array, an old satellite dish that James had secretly rebuilt over months. With it, they could override every screen, every feed, every public display on the planet. Kayla stood before the camera. No makeup, no costume. Just truth. She spoke simply. I'm Kayla, a mother, an outcast. I was nothing until a human gave me a chance. And now, they call me a threat. She looked into the camera. I say they're afraid of us waking up, of us standing together. Well, now we are awake, and we're not going back to silence. James ended the broadcast with a single phrase. This is our colony now. Chaos followed. Some districts rioted, others celebrated. The council gave the final order. Eliminate James and Kayla, at any cost. That night, they came. Not just soldiers, hunters, drones, flamewalkers, tech beasts. But Kayla and James were ready. Every trap was set. Every ally was in position, and every door in the sector was locked tight against the council. Kayla led the defense from the rooftop, barking orders, directing civilians to safety, organizing supply routes. James moved through shadows like a ghost, taking out drone relays, jamming signals, sabotaging exosuits with precise EMP pulses. But they were still outnumbered. During the third wave, a blast hit the lower levels. Smoke filled the air. People screamed. A building collapsed. Kayla rushed in without hesitation. Rubble everywhere. Trapped families. Injured children. She didn't think. She lifted steel with her bare hands, dragged bodies out, screamed for medics. Her arms bled. Her knees gave out. But she didn't stop. Not even when they told her it was too late. Because she remembered when no one came for her. Now, she was the one coming for others. James returned an hour later, limping, eyes fierce. You're bleeding, he said. Kayla smiled through the pain. So are you. They both laughed, just once. Then they got back to work. By dawn, the last council transport had retreated, not defeated by weapons, but by unity, by fire, by humans and aliens fighting side by side. Back in the shop, burned, cracked, but still standing, Kayla and James sat in silence. Liren played on the floor nearby, humming to himself, unaware of how close he had come to being lost. James turned to her. "You know it's not over." Kayla nodded. "They'll return, with more force, more lies." James looked tired. "Then what do we do?" Kayla stood. "We build." He raised an eyebrow. "Build what?" Kayla answered with quiet fire in her voice. "A future." The fires had burned out. The smoke had cleared, and what remained was something no one expected. Hope. Where there was once only silence and fear, now there was noise. Good noise. Construction, laughter, voices of aliens and humans working together, fixing the broken streets, repainting signs, sharing food. Kayla stood at the edge of the old plaza, now turned into a temporary relief center. Children ran past her laughing. Not all of them were human, not all were alien, but all of them were free. It had been 10 days since the council pulled back, 10 days since Kayla and James became legends. Not because they destroyed anything, but because they defended something, because they showed the world that kindness from a single human could start a revolution, and that one alien mother could finish it. Kayla now wore a simple jacket with a patch over the heart. United Restoration. Division, URD. It wasn't official, not yet, but it was real. She looked over her shoulder and saw James talking to two diplomats. One human, one alien. He looked uncomfortable. Still more soldier than politician, but he was trying. He saw her, gave a small wave. She smiled. They had come a long way. That evening, Kayla was called to speak at the largest gathering ever held in the outer colonies. Over 3,000 citizens stood shoulder to shoulder. Aliens, humans, exiles, workers, families, engineers, survivors. No guards, no weapons, just people. Listening. She stepped up to the podium, heart pounding, but she didn't speak like a leader. She spoke like a mother. "When I first came to this district, I was invisible, a burden, a single mother with no voice." She paused, then smiled. "But one person, one human, looked at me and didn't see weakness. He saw worth. And because of that, I found my strength." Kayla looked across the crowd, her voice steady now. "I am not your ruler. I am not your savior. I am just someone who stopped being afraid." Cheers rose. Loud, real. Then, something unexpected. A small group of aliens stepped forward. One of them, older and dressed in merchant robes, dropped to one knee. "Forgive us," he said. "We were blind." Kayla reached down and lifted him up. "There's nothing to forgive," she whispered. "We're all waking up now." That night, back at Carter Systems, now transformed into a repair and education center, James was soldering a new terminal. Kayla entered, Liren skipping behind her. "You missed your own celebration," she said, arms crossed. "I don't like crowds," James muttered. Kayla chuckled. "You faced battle mechs, but a few smiling aliens scare you?" He looked up deadpan. "Smiling aliens can be terrifying." She laughed and walked over to him. He handed her a tool. "Here, help me install this." Kayla took it with a warm smile. "Same way we started." He nodded. "But now, we're building something that'll last." Later that night, Liren curled up under a warm blanket in a quiet corner, already snoring. Kayla and James stood by the open window watching the city glow with soft lights and distant laughter. "You could leave now," she said quietly. "You've earned it. You could go back to the human sectors, start fresh." James didn't respond right away. Then finally, "Why would I leave? My past made me run. But this place, you, made me stay." Kayla looked at him, her eyes soft. "We're not heroes, James." He nodded. "Good. Heroes die. Builders live." She leaned her head on his shoulder, and together, they watched the first sunrise of the new colony. A world rebuilt not by war, but by the simple power of a second chance.